But you know, they got the room is locked, you don't hear none of that. And then, you know, Kim would walk out in her white robe, and you could see it in her face.
Will the feds investigate the rumors that Kid Cudi's car was blown up by Diddy because he dated Cassie Ventura? For facts purposes, Kid Cudi's car was blown up. Mr. Combs told Miss Ventura that he was going to blow up Kid Cudi's car and that he wanted to ensure that Kid Cudi was home with his friends when it happened. Around that time, Kid Cudi's car exploded in his driveway. So now we have that allegation.
Sean Combs is up for trial, and it looks like he'll be spending quite a bit of time in jail. But while we've been hearing a lot about his long list of alleged crimes, it seems like there's even more to him apart from sexual assault. Let's talk about how he allegedly blew up rapper Kid Cudi's car and what this could mean about more of his potential crimes. At this point, it's obvious that Diddy is going down. The feds seem determined to ensure the disgraced rapper ends up behind bars, and there are a lot of rumors floating around as to why they're so intent on doing it. There are conspiracy theories, but then there are the facts that we all know. First, let's see how the case is going. Diddy's lawyers have been on a quest to present him as a family man who has done no wrong. His lawyer has even tried to imply the Cassie video was just a scenario of a difficult relationship rather than full-on abuse.
Just a matter of personal embarrassment because he and the person in the video were in the midst of a 10-year relationship. That was difficult at times, that was toxic at times, but it was mutually so. And this whole notion that Mr. Combs is forcing drugs on someone is just nonsensical, and it's going to prove to not be true.
Well, on that video, he initially denied the allegations when his then girlfriend, who is in that video, filed a lawsuit last fall.
He said that Diddy only denied the sexual assault aspect of the case and didn't want to publicly embarrass himself.
They were denying sex crimes. I mean, because at the end of the day, the gravamen of that civil complaint wasn't a misdemeanor assault, which is what you see on that video. Not minimizing it, but it's a misdemeanor assault. What the gravamen of the complaint was sex crimes, and he denied that, and he still does.
Well, and you're saying that this is all just about that one relationship, but when you read through the indictment, they say that there's not just one victim. They say there's multiple victims here today, and what I heard described was they said they have 50 witnesses or victims.
Yeah, I think it's 49 witnesses and one victim. I think if you broke it down, and I say that because count 2, which is the sex trafficking count, has victim number 1, and there is no victim number 2 anywhere in the indictment.
Which is ironic, considering it was proved that Diddy bribed people to keep the tape away from the public at the time. And now his new lawyers have moved on to claiming that the feds leaked the tape to make Diddy seem like the bad guy.
Of disgraced music mogul Sean Diddy Combs, 84-year-old Janice arriving at court today to show support for her son, who's seeking release on bail. And she was jeered and heckled by the crowd of onlookers.
Diddy's a predator.
Also, there, 6 of his children, all creating a human chain as they headed for the courthouse. Diddy walked into the courtroom wearing a tan prison jumpsuit. When he saw his family seated in the 3rd row, he smiled and waved at them. When the proceedings ended, he blew them kisses. Diddy's attorney, Anthony Rico, talked about his mood.
So he's making an adjustment. He had his family here today to support him.
Attorney Gloria Allred, who represents several of the alleged victims, says Diddy's fame should have no impact on his trial.
You're not above the law, and so you have to face the consequences of what you are alleged to have done.
Diddy's lawyers are making a bombshell allegation.
A May trial date is now set for hip-hop mogul Sean Diddy Combs to face sex trafficking charges. This comes as his attorneys are accusing the federal government of releasing video of him brutally beating his former girlfriend back in 2016. Well, Combs's lawyers, they filed court documents on Wednesday accusing the Department of Homeland Security of leaking the hotel hallway footage to CNN. They claim that the video was released to injure the reputation of Combs and was likely not leaked by his then girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. However, prosecutors say that the video is a key piece of evidence in their case. Combs is charged with sex trafficking, racketeering, and other crimes. He's pleaded not guilty.
But never mind the assault, there's even arson on the list of potential Diddy crimes. And it also ties into Cassie Ventura. The feds are hot on the rapper's case, and most experts think that they will use the racketeering charge to pin the arson crime on Diddy as well.
So as we know, Combs was arrested last week pursuant to a grand jury indictment out of the Southern District of New York. He's charged with racketeering conspiracy. Basically, there was an agreement between him and others to operate a criminal enterprise that engaged in a pattern of illegal activity, and that for years Combs threatened and abused women. Now, in the indictment, prosecutors allege that as part of this racketeering conspiracy that Combs and his co-conspirators engaged in, they participated in a number of underlying or predicate crimes that prosecutors are going to prove. Forced labor, sex trafficking, kidnapping, violent acts to assert control to further the criminal enterprise. In fact, the indictment reads, when employees, witnesses to his abuse, or others threaten Combs' authority or reputation, Combs and members and associates of the enterprise engaged in acts of violence, threats of financial and reputational harm, and verbal abuse. These acts of violence included kidnapping and arson.
So, what happened with Kid Cudi? Cassie outlined the incident in her lawsuit, saying that she had started dating Cudi in the rough patch during their relationship, and she was beaten badly for it.
She alleged in her lawsuit, quote, in 2011, during a rough patch in a relationship with Sean Combs, she ended up having a relationship with rapper and Grammy Award-winning artist Kid Cudi, real name Scott Mescudi. And then she alleged, quote, Mr. Combs found Miss Ventura's phone and found emails between her and Kid Cudi. Mr. Combs became enraged and proceeded to place a manual corkscrew between his fingers and lunged at Miss Ventura. Miss Ventura ran away to stay at Kid Cudi's home to escape Mr. Combs' wrath. Soon thereafter, one of Mr. Combs' staff members told Miss Ventura that he needed to just talk to, even though Mr. Combs was enraged. Feeling like she could not escape Mr. Combs and his network of enforcers, Miss Ventura returned to Mr. Combs. He hit her several times and then kicked her in the back as she tried to run out of the door.
It didn't end there either, because she was then told by Diddy that he would blow up the rapper's car, and it did.
The following year, she claimed, quote, Mr. Combs told Miss Ventura that he was going to blow up Kid Cudi's car and that he wanted to ensure that Kid Cudi was home with his friends when it happened. Around that time, Kid Cudi's car exploded in his driveway. So now we have that allegation, and we have the mention of arson in the indictment.
And how do we know the feds are interested in the incident? They've already outlined it in the indictment. In fact, they've apparently even investigated it already, considering the details they knew.
We go to the government's bail letter that they filed with the court. They were advocating that Combs be denied bail. He has been twice. And they allege, quote, in the early morning hours of December 22nd, 2011, the defendant and a co-conspirator kidnapped an individual at gunpoint to facilitate breaking into and entering the residence of Individual 1. By the way, Individual 1 is not named, but we'll get to that. Multiple witnesses would testify at trial to the events surrounding the kidnapping and break-in, the latter of which is corroborated by police reports and other records. Approximately 2 weeks later, the defendant's co-conspirators set fire to Individual 1's vehicle by slicing open the car's convertible top and dropping a Molotov cocktail inside the interior. Police and fire department reports extensively document the arson and conclude that the fire was intentionally set. Multiple witnesses would also testify to the defendant bragging about his role in destroying Individual 1's car.
And following the Cassie lawsuit, Kid Cudi's representatives actually confirmed what had happened, saying it was all true. Of course, his lawyer continued to deny everything.
There is no allegation that Mr. Combs was involved in these actions or directed anyone else to take them. It's clear the government doesn't know who set fire to the vehicle or how it relates to Mr. Combs, who denies any involvement.
While some people are concerned that since the incident is from 2012, the evidence might turn in favor of Diddy, fire investigator Robert Rowe confirmed that it wouldn't pose an issue as long as the concerned fire investigator followed standard procedures.
Well, as long as the fire investigator conducted his investigation in accordance with the guidelines, provided that that investigator, whoever that may be, is qualified to conduct that investigation, a record is a stamp in time, if you will. The facts don't change unless the investigator, and I do this with my reports, is I leave it open-ended. So if additional information should come forth that may change the outcome or change the direction of the investigation, the investigator has the ability to add a provision or a clause within that report to say, upon further investigation or additional information, I have the right to change my opinions or enhance my opinions. Right. So I think the report, as it sits, is fine unless an investigator has additional information they may have collected.
Now, let's talk about other incidents that support this allegation. For one, Diddy's ex-bodyguard Gene Deal has repeatedly confirmed that the rapper used to beat his ex-girlfriend and mother to his children Kim Porter. He said everything he has heard about Cassie going through aligns with his experience with Kim.
Just with this Cassie thing, I didn't know her, but I knew somebody like her. And that was Kim Porter. I didn't know Cassie, but I knew somebody who was going through the same thing she was going through, and that was Kim Porter. I guess it's an affidavit to the courts, of what she experienced. And it's like, it was the same thing Kim was going through. The same thing, bro. Kim was going through the same thing, the beatings, you know what I'm saying?
Deal outlined how Cassie went through extreme beatings, and he once broke Kim Porter's nose.
Yo, I heard that he beat her so bad he sent her to Hawaii so she could stay away from people. That's crazy, man. But that's Kim's story. That's Kim's book. That's Kim's book. Then you heard about the fact that he broke Kim's nose on a yacht?
He also confirmed that just like Cassie, Diddy beat Kim for talking to other men. This was even when he was going out with Jennifer Lopez. He simply wanted control of her.
You know what I'm saying? But they got the room is locked. You don't hear none of that. And then, Kim would walk out in her white robe, and you could see it in her face. I'd never seen him treat Ms. Lopez like that. You understand? Even when he was going behind her back and still dealing with Kim, he didn't want Kim to deal with nobody, bruh. Like I said, I can't speak on Cassie or her statements like that, but I can reflect on the way he treated Kim. We would leave Jennifer's house. He would call a babysitter. If Kim was out on the town, we was going to every spot in New York City that the babysitter thought she was at. Do you hear me? Even when he wasn't dealing with her, he wanted complete control over her life, over what she did and how she did it.
Coming back to the arson itself, multiple people in the industry have since commented on it. Roger Bonds talked about how he was sure the incident was true. He himself tried to get away from Diddy and even changed jobs for it.
Yeah, do you know about this car blowing up?
I heard about that. I definitely heard about that. And I found it quite funny that the car actually did get blow up. So I would say that was accurate. I would say that.
Yeah, and I guess after that, Cudi didn't want anything to do with Cassie because this was like, okay, this was more than I bargained for.
Yeah, he definitely didn't have nothing to do with her anymore after that.
You were kind of phasing out.
After that situation is when I left.
Right, and you went to go work for Ciroc.
And I went to work for Ciroc, yes.
Now working in Ciroc, your pay was lowered.
My pay was lowered. It was something that Diddy told me when he asked me if I wanted to leave. See, a lot of people get the misconception that I got fired. And no, I went to Diddy, and through the grapevine, I was trying to figure out ways to get away from him because it was just too much. The drugs was too much. The fighting was too much. It was like I was a babysitter. I'm getting between him and his girlfriends fighting, him and Cassie fighting. So I had to figure out a way to keep my job and still be able to leave. So that's when I was diagnosed with diabetes. And I went and told Puff, yo, I heard you got an ambassador job open at Ciroc. He said, how you heard that? I said, come on, I've been here for 10 years. I said, people talk to me. And then he said, all right, just give me some time. About a week later, he said, okay, I'm gonna let you go over there. He said, but you know you ain't making the same money over there that you gonna make with me because I don't have no control of it. Even though he did have control of it, I think he thought that was something that was gonna sway me. But I had already made up my mind, like enough is enough, because it was getting to the point where
Boosie also commented on the incident, saying he didn't understand why Diddy did that. But while he thought he did it over love, more people like Deal have pointed out that it was more about control than anything.
I mean, allegedly.
Allegedly. But Kid Cudi said his car actually blew up.
We still can't say Diddy blew it up.
This is true. This is true.
You always got to say allegedly.
Right. But if I say I'm going to blow someone's car up.
But if somebody do that behind a woman, you sick in love, like you on something.
Doesn't make sense to me.
You on something.
And people have been talking about the implications of him being able to blow up someone's car for months as well.
Absolutely, I think they'll investigate it. I think they're taking everything that's been filed, they're combing through it, and they're going to turn over every leaf or every rock, every car, so to speak, and anything that they can use against him, they're going to investigate and try to use it against him. So definitely.
Let's stay with you.
Can I also say it just goes to his access? If you can blow someone's car up, it just goes to the reach that you have, and it just substantiates someone's fear of him, especially, we were talking about witness protection earlier. He has reach. He can send someone to blow up a car if he so desires over a love issue, spurned love interest or something of that sort. So
even former Bad Boy rapper Mark Curry commented on the incident, saying he could believe that the incident happened.
You shouldn't have had this car over here, So we have to just look into that right there. Let's look into that, because I really want to know if he blew up that man's car. Because if he did that, I'm going to start doing Uber more. If my car ever catch on fire, you know what happened. I'm just letting y'all know, so at least we know we're going to rule out my car catching on fire. That one already been done. We got to do it something more original.
Do you think Diddy's actually capable of coming after some of the guys and people who are speaking out against him?
I think Diddy's capable of coming out, going against anybody who speaks against him. And if you really ask me, I think he's winning at it. I think that everybody who he wants to get at, he's getting at.
He even pointed out what Jaguar Wright has said before as well, that Diddy tends to be able to conveniently be rid of any person who goes against him.
Like look at how many people have dealt with him that you see no longer here today. Look at Heavy D, no longer here. Look at Andre Harrell, no longer here. Kim Porter, no longer here. Biggie Smalls, no longer here. I know Black Rob ain't, but Black Rob no longer here. Francesca Spiro, no longer here. It's just everybody who played a part in his success, that had a part. A lot of them are not here no more. Wolf, Anthony Jones no longer here, the security. It's so many people that are no longer here.
But at the end of the day, it's obvious that many think that, let alone blowing up a car, Diddy is easily capable of murder. After all, even Tupac Shakur's family is now investigating whether he might have had a hand in his death.
Diddy is due back in court Thursday, but could he also potentially face a new legal issue connected to the murder of Tupac Shakur? ET has learned Tupac's family has hired famed attorney Alex Spiro to investigate any possible link between Diddy and Tupac's 1996 drive-by shooting and death. Alex is the attorney who got Alec Baldwin's involuntary manslaughter trial dismissed in July. Diddy has always denied any involvement in Tupac's murder.
I have my own opinion.
Back in 1995, the late rapper suggested Diddy was involved in the 1994 attack when Tupac was shot 5 times inside a Manhattan recording studio.
I have proved things that I could say that will back up my claim, but this is not for the world to know about. You know what I mean? It's between me and him.
But will we get confirmation on his involvement in the Kid Cudi case? Let's wait and see. That's it for now. Don't forget to tell us what you think in the comments below. For more updates, hit the bell icon.